Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the council meeting for November 2022. I'd like to ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation by Pastor Alicia Schroeder. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hello, I'm glad to be here tonight. I'm Pastor Alicia Schroeder from Nashville UCC. And before I pray, I just wanted to mention I was enjoying a drive on Halloween weekend and passed a house that had all kinds of pumpkins up and down the stairs and all over the porch. And they had all their red and white candy canes strapped to the porch at the same time. It was kind of jarring. I understand you put it up while the weather's there, but I began to wonder what happened.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Miller.
Here.
Mr. Tracy.
Here.
Ms. Metz. Here. Mr. Horn.
Here.
Mr. Hurst.
Here.
Ms. Kopp.
Here.
Mr. Dorman.
Here.
From the October workshop, Vice Mayor Hurst and myself were both absent. Are there any motions to excuse?
Make a motion, we excuse said absences.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Dorman.
Yes.
Ms. Kopp.
Yes.
Mr. Hurst.
Yes.
Mr. Horn.
Yes.
Ms. Metz.
Yes.
Mr. Tracy.
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes. Council should receive their minutes for the October 11th and October 25th meetings. Are there any motions to accept the minutes?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the minutes for October 11th, 2022 and October.
Mr. Dorman.
Yes.
Ms. Kopp.
Yes.
Mr. Hurst.
Yes.
Mr. Horn.
Yes.
Ms. Metz.
Yes.
Mr. Tracy.
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes. Manager Sheridan, is there any correspondence to council?
Yes, Mayor, we actually have two items. The first read as members of the City Council. I'm writing specifically to share my approval of your decision to ban fireworks inside the city limits of West Milton. Earlier in the summer, someone a few neighborhoods away from Dorwin Road was shooting off fireworks in their backyard. Someone living close to that property shared with me that the next morning they had found debris from this episode in their backyard.
Thank you. At this time, we would like to open the floor to any comments from citizens regarding tonight's legislation. Seeing none, moving on to ordinances and resolutions. CM-22-37. Ms. Brush.
It's an ordinance amending section 50.15, obstruction of gutters forbidden of the West Milton Code.
Manager Sheridan, would you care to?
Certainly,
review it?
this and the following ordinances are a couple of modifications that council agreed to at staff's requests, primarily to pick up some problem areas that weren't covered in the code, and to add some additional teeth to the,
Is there any questions or discussion with council?
some additional teeth in an existing ordinance.
Questions?
Yeah, so, I mean, I can read what it says is the penalty's gonna be, but this is gonna require, some education, particularly this time of year with leaves that are all over the place, and I was just
Right.
wondering what the plan is to hopefully
Yeah.
not, lock
Any-
everybody up immediately, but
No,
educate
no.
them so that.
Even before this change, residents were always given a warning. It was primarily contractors that we had an issue with, and if they were ones that knew better, they'd probably still get a warning and given so much time to rectify the issue. But certainly homeowners, once they understood, almost always cooperated. So it was primarily dealing with professionals who come in, and we had a particularly egregious incident where, you may recall, we had a contractor dump several tons of stone on one of our streets. And that was a problem.
discussion with council? Any motion for the ordinance? Roll call, please.
Mr. Dorman?
Yes.
Ms. Cop?
Yes.
Mr. Hurst?
Yes.
Mr. Horn?
Yes.
Ms. Metz?
Yes.
Mr. Tracy?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes. Next is CM-22-47. Ms. Brush.
It's an ordinance amending section 50.01, application for excavation permit, streets and sidewalks of the West Milton Code of Ordinances.
Yeah, this is a second reading as well. Mr. Herron, would you like to give him a brief description of what this ordinance does?
Yeah, basically, when somebody comes in to cut in the street, they have to do a permit that basically gives all the information for the street cut. And at the time they get permit guidelines on if the street is repaired. Asphalt is usually the thing that's hardest for them to do. It's hard to go get asphalt in your pickup truck. We had raised it once, not too long ago, but due to asphalt prices, the vast majority of the people getting a permit will just let the bond drop and we'll do the asphalt work. And we don't mind because we know it's done properly. It's not a speed bump, it's put in properly and sealed. So to keep up with the cost, the $450 is to cover the average size excavation, to make sure that the city isn't paying anything back towards that.
Thank you.
When you guys do the repairs, do you guys do it while you're doing this?
Correct.
Makes sense.
Any other discussion or questions? Any motion for the ordinance?
Mr. Mayor, I make a
motion, we
motion.
accept CM-22-47.
Second.
Ms. Metz?
Yes.
Mr. Tracy?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes. Next is CM-22-48. Ms. Brush.
An ordinance amending section 130.09, pointing and discharging firearms and other weapons of the West Milton Codified Ordinances.
Skip 48, didn't you?
Oh, that was 48 that I read. Was I supposed to read 51?
Oh, that's right, okay,
That
I'm
is-
sorry.
No, that's 48.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, my mistake.
Um,
This,
Go ahead.
go ahead, yeah.
This is,
The numbers on the agenda.
Yeah.
The
oh,
number's
they're
wrong.
they're wrong,
The
okay.
number's wrong, that's
Thank you.
what threw me off, sorry. This is an ordinance that has been discussed by the council previously. It was placed on the agenda to give the council the ability to take action if you chose to. Certainly if you do not, I would expect it to be on the workshop agenda at the end of the month. We've somewhat reached an impasse on a couple of different issues, and I believe staff's not quite sure how to proceed.
So I think that there's been some discussion with the law director, with some updates as to the language, and what the village is allowed to do and enforce via home rule. And at least for me, there's still a little bit of clarification needed. And so my personal opinion is that we address this in the workshop to make sure that everything's kind of ironed out and we all are on the same page and have a good understanding of the issue.
Agreed.
Okay.
You don't make a motion to table it?
Yes.
Yes.
Please.
Make a motion that we table CM-22-48.
Yes. Second. All in favor of table?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? All right. Next on the agenda is CM-22-51, and I'll turn that over to Ms. Brush.
An ordinance amending section 91.11, possession, sale, and use of fireworks of the West Milton Code of Ordinances.
This is similar to the previous ordinance. I placed it on the agenda, so if the council wished to take action at this time, you certainly could. Otherwise, I would expect it to be on the workshop agenda at the end of the month.
And was there any other questions or clarification that needed?
Everyone received the updated memo from the law director.
This is the fireworks.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This is for the
I know,
fireworks.
it's-
I'm still going by the other
Reflect
number. My apologies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a motion to accept the CM-51, which is the fireworks?
Yes.
ordinance?
Motion to accept CM-22-51.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Dorman?
Yes.
Ms. Cop?
Yes.
Mr. Hurst?
Yes.
Mr. Horn?
Yes.
Ms. Metz?
Yes.
Mr. Tracy?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Now we're back on track.
Yes. Next is CM-22-52. Ms. Brush.
It's a resolution authorizing the municipal manager to enter into a contract with Software Solutions for the purchase of new accounting, payroll, and utility software, including the annual support fee for the municipality of West Milton, Ohio. Whereas the municipality is in need of updating its accounting, payroll, and utility software in order to better serve the employees and residents of the municipality. And whereas the municipality has received a quote from Software Solutions for the purchase of software covering these areas in the amount of $69,400, of which $6,940 is due at signing, $31,230 is due by March 2023, and $31,230 is due by March 2024. And whereas there's also an annual support fee of $16,450, which, according to the terms of the contract, will not increase by more than 5% each year. And whereas, due to the purchase and annual support fee for such software and services being above $15,000, the purchase requires council's approval pursuant to Section 33.18A7 of the West Milton Codified Ordinances. And whereas the municipal manager believes it to be in the best interest of the municipality to enter into a contract with Software Solutions for the purchase of said software, and that such approval by council include the annual support fee, so long as it does not increase by more than 5% each year. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the Village of West Milton, Ohio, that Section 1, it is in the municipality's best interest to enter into a contract with Software Solutions. Section 2, municipal manager is hereby authorized to enter into a contract with Software Solutions for the purchase of new accounting, payroll, and utility software in the amount of $69,400, as well as the annual support fee of $16,450, which shall not be increased by more than 5% each year. Said contract is attached hereto as Exhibit A and incorporated herein as if fully rewritten. Section 3, this resolution shall take effect and be in full force immediately upon its passage. Section 4, it is hereby found and determined that all formal actions of this council relating to the adoption of this resolution were adopted in an open meeting of this council, and that all deliberations of this council that resulted in such formal actions were in a meeting open to the public in compliance with all legal requirements, including Section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code.
Thank you, Ms. Brush. Manager Sheridan?
Finance Director Grice is here if you have any questions about the software. This is, as I believe was explained previously, we have no choice. The current software is no longer going to be supported. And Ms. Grice and staff diligently looked into multiple options, and this is the most cost-effective and the system they recommend.
Any questions or discussion with council? Any motions for the resolution?
Make a motion to accept CM-22-52.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Dorman?
Yes.
Ms. Cops?
Yes.
Mr. Hurst?
Yes.
Mr. Horn?
Yes.
Ms. Metz?
Yes.
Mr. Tracy?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes. Next is CM-22-53. Ms. Brush.
An ordinance to appropriate funds necessary for the various departments and offices of the municipality of West Milton, Ohio for the year 2023. Now therefore be it ordained by the council of the municipality of West Milton, Ohio, that Section 1, to provide for the current expenses and other expenditures of the municipality of West Milton during the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2023, and ending December 31st, 2023, the following sums are hereby set aside and appropriated as follows. For the general fund, personal services for general government, $282,225, transportation, $40,300, Security of persons and property, $1,106,100 for total personal services of $1,428,625. Transfers to fire truck capital improvement of $75,000 and total other expenditures of $1,016,400 for a total general fund of $2,520,025. Special revenue funds, street levy of $230,700. Street construction and maintenance, total personal services $140,250. Total other expenditures $199,650. For total street construction and maintenance of $339,900. State highway of $15,500. Enforcement and education of $3,500. Drug law enforcement of $2,000. Law enforcement trust of $2,885.17. For total special revenue funds of $594,485.17. The debt service funds of OPWC of $6,520.58 for total debt service funds of $6,520.58. Capital improvement funds, fire capital improvement of $47,000 for a total capital improvement funds of $47,000. Enterprise funds, water capital improvement of $1,859,700. Sewer capital improvement of total other expenditures of $153,700. Transfers to OPWC debt service of $6,521 for total sewer capital improvement of $160,221. Refuse fund, total personal services $155,650. Total other expenditures of $326,100 for a total refuse fund of $481,750. Water fund, total personal services $526,600. Total other expenditures of $821,800 for a total water fund of $1,348,400. Sewer fund, total personal services $509,650. Total other expenditures of $330,500 for total sewer fund of $840,150. Total enterprise funds of $4,690,221 for total appropriations of all funds of $7,858,251.75. Summary, total personal services of $2,760,775. Total other expenditures of $5,015,955.75. Total transfers of $81,521 for a grand total of $7,858,251.75. Section 2. The Director of Finance is hereby authorized to draw warrants on the village treasury for payments from any of the foregoing appropriations upon receiving proper certificates and vouchers, therefore approved by the board or officers authorized by law to approve the same, or an ordinance or resolution of council to make the expenditures, provided that no warrant shall be drawn or paid for salaries or wages except to persons employed by, authority of, and in accordance with law or ordinance. Section 3, this ordinance shall take effect from and after the earliest date permitted by law.
Thank you, Ms. Brush.
You're welcome.
Manager Sheridan, do you want to expand on that?
This is the budget proposal that was discussed at the last workshop. And the Budget Committee reviewed it thoroughly and I believe are supportive. We're certainly making some changes in several areas of the budget. Most notably, we're trying to increase the salary of most, if not all, of our employees to become more competitive. We've got great staff and we don't want to lose them.
And I would like to say also thank you to the Budget Committee and also to the department heads for working with us to make sure that we nailed down the budget. I think this is probably the quickest and easiest in my experience. This year has been pretty easy for getting the budget put together, and like Manager Sheridan said, I think that our number one resource and most valuable resource is our employees, and hopefully this will be a step in the direction to take care of that. So, any other discussion for the ordinance. All right. And that's the first reading. Moving on to CM-22-54. Ms. Brosh.
It's an ordinance amending Chapter 53, Garbage, Refuse, and Recyclables of the Code of Ordinances for the Municipality of West Milton, Ohio. Whereas due to the municipality now providing its own garbage and refuse pickup services to the residents and businesses of West Milton, it is necessary to amend Chapter 53 of the codified ordinances to reflect this practice. And whereas council believes it to be in the best interest of the municipality and the residents and businesses of West Milton to update Chapter 53 of the codified ordinances as recommended by the municipal manager and the director of service. Now therefore be it ordained by the council of the municipality of West Milton that Section 1, Chapter 53 of the West Milton Codified Ordinances shall be amended for the adoption of new rules and regulations related to the collection of garbage, refuse, and recycling services offered by the municipality attached hereto as Exhibit A and incorporated herein as if fully rewritten. Section 2, this ordinance shall be effective from and after the earliest period allowed by law.
Thank you, Ms. Brosh. Manager Sheridan?
Counselor, Service Director Herron put a great deal of time and effort into updating the ordinance. If you have any questions, or Ben, would you like to offer any comments? No?
If you guys see anything, just let me know.
I mean,
It's a lot of reading.
Yeah, for the public, the primary purpose of the ordinance, this ordinance is to take into account the change from contracting out the services to taking it in-house. So that required a total overhaul of the municipal ordinance.
Ben, I have a question. So how long has it been now since we've been doing?
A little over,
16 months?
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah,
year and a
about-
half.
yeah.
So how's it going?
It's going really good.
Going good?
Like we explained in the beginning, we could have tried to write the new ordinance ahead of refuse collection, but it's kind of,
Right.
you know, we knew we were gonna have to make changes anyway, so, but it's been going extremely well. I know our drivers talk to the community a lot, and everybody seems we haven't had any problems, so, yeah. It's been, if you pay attention, drive through town, especially get onto the side streets, I think it's made a big difference in the cleanliness.
Yes, I would
I
agree.
mean, I know there's still steps to go, but if you walked or drove slow and really noticed, there's been a lot of cleanup done. People had the option to just take it all out at once, or, you know, bigger toter maybe than they had before, that sort of thing. So it's been really good.
I have noticed that it's cleaner on this trash day. And then how about, the recycling? How often is that getting dumped now? Like,
So
what's
they
the-
officially took the Rumpke containers yesterday, was the last one to go. Our 3 containers are in place. Started actually today, we took our first load today. So we'll kind of get a feel, because those are like 15, so there's the same storage, but they're just 3 instead of 2. So
Okay.
we're just gonna have to see about how fast they fill up. But the good thing is all we have to do is walk out the door, open it. If it needs hauled, we take it and it's gone.
That's great. Thank you.
And on that, apparently the doors are a little hard to open right now. I know it's because they're
Yeah.
new, so I don't know how you,
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
think
how
they
you
were
fix
gonna
that,
put,
just open and close them more, WD-40?
yeah, I think, you guys
Or-
had talked about maybe greasing them.
Yeah, okay.
They're a little stiff, so.
That was, my wife said, awesome, WD-40, can you let Ben know?
Just don't let them forget.
Any other discussion for the ordinance?
Was there anything residents need to know about the weight? Were we putting like a weight limit on what you can put in your toter?
Yeah, I think so the toters on the lids have the maximum amount of weight. So whatever that, we stayed just below the maximum, but now I can't remember the numbers.
That's okay. If it's printed under the lid, then everyone can look.
It is, I just can't remember. It's like 150 for the small, and then 300 for the standard, I believe.
That's right.
Sounds right.
Yeah, I think that's what's in there.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Also had to take into account the weight limit of the arm. Didn't want to damage either the toters or the truck.
Yeah, I can't remember when. I think it's in the first.
Thought the final number you went with in the ordinance was more than generous, though.
Oh, yeah, it's, what was that? I'm sorry.
It was more than generous.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
was,
the amount, it's a pretty high number. Unless people are throwing away gravel or paving blocks, I don't think they're ever gonna hit it.
And they're not supposed to be.
It's 300 for the standard and 150 for the low volume.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other discussion or questions? All right. Moving on to the manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. We have closed on the parcel at 238 South Miami Street. So now the village now owns that. In that same topic, as far as the park, I've received one proposal from a landscape architect firm that I've worked with in the past to take the concepts that Collabo proposed to us as far as the downtown master plan, specifically the parks. And so what I'm looking for are not bid documents, but to take those concepts and get us closer, some preliminary engineering, some costs, and then I hope to use those to prioritize the projects as we're moving forward on the park. We did get word on the grant that Mr. Heron applied for the retaining wall. And if I remember correctly, we were rewarded, just not as much as we hoped. Is that right, Ben?
Yeah, the Miami County was given a total allotment of around 26,000, and they awarded, we
got
got
all of
the
it.
entire award
Yeah.
for it, so that's a
That
good
the
thing.
project's around a little under 100,000,
Mhm.
if I remember correctly. So we were hoping to get more. We got it all, so I guess we really can't complain. But we will be proceeding forward with the project this next summer. Also, Fire Chief Jay and I met with, at a special meeting of the county commissioners. It's been proposed that the county undertake a study on countywide fire and EMS. We're looking at understaffing of many of the rural emergency services, mutual aid, and rising equipment costs. The county's going to pay half of the study, which they expect to cost $60,000. Piqua and Troy are putting in most of the rest, as well as the 911 dispatch center. There's been some conversation that we would make a small contribution, but probably somewhere in the $500 to $1,000 range. So that'll be, Chief Jay was enthusiastic. It's something we need. We're not in bad shape, but a lot of the volunteer fire departments just don't have enough manpower. And I believe that's all I have for my report.
Thank you, Manager Sheridan. Moving on to old business, the council meeting decorum.
Yeah, there's been, I've made some adjustments based on counselor comments of the proposed policy. I added that really more of a placeholder. And again, I would expect that to be on the agenda for the workshop at the end of the month. And then if the council wishes to move forward with it, we'll put it on the agenda for the December council meeting.
Very good. New business, appointments to the planning board.
Right, as the letter indicated, we have someone who'd like to serve on the planning board. We are one member short, and with two pretty significant projects, the master plan, downtown master plan, we'll be finishing that up with the planning board, moving into the land use plan, and then as well, we still have multiple variances that are going to be heard in December, and we're working on the new building zoning code with choice one. So there's no shortage of work for the planning board, so I would hope that we could get it back fully staffed if the council's willing to make that appointment at this time.
Since we have a person asking to serve, is there a motion to accept their?
Make a motion, we accept Charles Metz, offering to join planning board, or put his name forward, however we word that.
Is it a nomination or?
Nomination.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's requested to be nominated. If you wish to appoint him, I believe that's the appropriate wording. Is that right? Ms. Broche, yeah.
So we do it in 2 steps?
You can.
You can, or you can just make a motion to appoint
Yeah,
him.
that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion, we appoint Charles Metz to planning board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Very good. We will open up the floor to comments by citizens for the evening.
I have one quick
Oh,
reminder.
I'm sorry.
I always have something to say.
You're right.
One quick reminder, next week, starting Thursday, downtown is having their holiday open house. So starts Thursday and it goes through Sunday. So the shops will be open on Sunday also, and come down and shop and enjoy. And then also in November, we will be having our tree lighting, November 26th at 5:30. We will have a parade. We will have horse carriage rides for free, hot chocolate, free pictures with Santa, and popcorn and cotton candy. So it's going to be a really great event. Hopefully we have good weather, maybe a little bit of snow. So put it on your calendar.
Very good. Thank you. Any other business for council? Yes, sir.
I'm James Green from 210 Wagner. Y'all was talking about buying a piece of property for an extra parking lot in town. You mentioned it, and all of you did, about having another parking lot. Why don't you try to buy Buzz Theater, tear it down and have a parking lot on both sides? Then you can get away with the parking on 48, and that way you could get you can make the sidewalks a little bigger so you can get a wheelchair up, because you can't get a wheelchair up the park or with walks and sidewalks in town.
Very good idea. Thank you. Any other comments from citizens?
Well, it's a little bit more than a comment. My name's Jeff Case. I formerly of 5 Michaela Court, recently moved to Troy to take care of my mother, but resident of this town, and my kids go to the local schools here. Recently, I purchased a property, 253 North Main Street and 245, 249 North Main Street. I'm a real estate investor, and after living in this town for 6 years, you know, I saw there was a need for updated residential properties. Since purchasing that property, I learned that there's a problem with the water line coming into my property. And the problem with the water line is that it's supplied from the neighboring property that I also purchased. I sold that property to another investor to hold as a rental. So I do not own that property any longer, but I do own the single family home next door to it. When I inspected the properties, I had official inspections on both properties. None of them read back to me that there was any problem with any water line source, nor was there any disclosures from the trust that I purchased the properties from, because they were not required to tell us. Now, when I walked the properties myself, when I saw a meter in the basement of the residential home, the single-family home, there was no reason for me to question the water supply, because there was a meter that was installed, I later found, by a contractor hired by the village in 2014. With 2 meters on the other side for the duplex next door, and then a meter in there, I had no reasons to really be concerned. Mr. Sheridan was nice enough to come out and meet with me at the property, and I am not here to throw anybody under the bus. So, Mr. Sheridan, I appreciate your time. I felt like it was my duty as a citizen to be able to come here and speak on this issue. This is a cost that I'm being asked to pay for as a real estate investor to bring that property, both properties, up to code. The duplex is a separate issue because the shutoff valves are in the basement And to bring it to code, they want the shut-off valves on the outside of the property, which is an expense to the new owner, which I'm speaking on behalf of. My property doesn't have a water line to it, and I'm being asked to run a water line from the main in the road and pay the tap fee and all the cost all the way to the house, which is about 60 to 70 feet, digging down 42 inches through limestone. You can imagine the cost that I'm facing. It's at least $10,000. I don't have all of my quotes in, but I know that the tap fees alone is $3,000 for a 1-inch line, $2,000 for a 3/4 inch line, was what I was told by Mr. Smith from the city. So my concern is that I bought a property, 2 properties actually, that have been lived in, residential use, have been used for rentals for the past 20 to 40 years with no issue of the water line going in. Everything's been read appropriately, and hasn't been an issue. But now that there's new owners, we're being asked to absorb that cost. So I'm concerned because that's a budget buster for me. I was not accounting for that. And if it was okay for the past 20 plus years for those properties to be run that way, even though I know and I agree that the right way to do it is to have its own curb stop. I understand that, but I'm being asked to pay for all of it. I'm not asking for you to pay for all of it, but I am asking for some cooperation to do the right thing. The duplex next door, we still have to dig 42 inches down to get those lines appropriately set so they don't freeze and so that the shutoffs are put on the outside of the house. That's still a very significant cost, maybe close to the same amount of cost minus the tap fee. So I don't know where to go from here. There's Mr. Sheridan was gracious enough to give a timeline on fixing the issue at the duplex, which is appreciated. It's still an issue of cost. I don't have the luxury of the single family home to take a timeline before I put the house. I have to put the house on the market. I have holding costs involved. I have a silent partner that's been in this community for 40 years improving neighborhoods. I'm trying to do something for the community. I love this community. This community welcomed my family here with open arms. And I appreciate everybody that did so, and I love it here. But this is a concern of mine because I don't plan to stop just with this property to help improve our neighborhoods. So I'm asking for some help. Okay?
What were the addresses again?
245, 249 North Main Street is the duplex. 253 North Main Street is the single-family home. They were purchased from the Netsley Trust, from the late Bill Netsley. They were one of his properties, and because they were a 3-door rental, I mean that's the way he treated it. There were 3 doors that were rented out, which is fine, but for a rental that's fine. Somehow, some way, there was a line run from the duplex under the ground, under the driveway, into that basement, into that cobblestone basement. Somebody hired and put a meter on it, thought it was okay then, but now that there's going to be separate owners, now there's an issue. I understand the issue. I get it. And if I was building a brand new house on that property, it would be my responsibility, to your point, Mr. Sheridan, that is my responsibility to tap into the service. But this has been going on for decades, and it's been okay. And now I'm stuck with this cost. I'm just asking for some help.
Sure. And it sounds like you've already been talking with Mr. Sheridan, and I guess, you know, I'm not sure that we can come to any kind of resolution tonight.
That's okay, but I couldn't wait until the next meeting because it's in December. So.
Understandable, understandable. You know, I guess I understand the frustration that that you're experiencing, because it's been ongoing. It's been like this for a long time. And I can also understand whenever you, that's, you know, a risk that you take when you're purchasing a property or you're updating properties, in my experience, of changing use groups or changing what the building does, and now you have the cost of bringing everything up to the current code. And I'm sure Mr. Sheridan's probably explained that, and would be more than willing to work with you on this issue.
Certainly, and we can discuss it, I guess, in the workshop if you'd like.
Mhm.
He describes it accurately.
Yeah.
The crux of the matter is that one owner had multiple buildings, and at some point in the past, he was allowed to connect one water line to all three. Is that right? No, but he did. And it's another example of something that wasn't handled properly in the past.
Yeah.
And now today, I'm faced with making it right, as is the new owner. I don't know what his recourse is with the other entities involved. We'd had some discussion out there at the time. You make the policy. You can't have one water line serving three different properties.
I'm gonna guess, knowing how old those houses are too, that decision predates Bill Netzley. I mean,
It was,
Very possible.
you're right.
Very
And
possible.
I do believe you're correct in that, but in 2014, there was a meter installed, hired by a contractor from the village. So somebody here, even back then, had to know that that water line wasn't right. And then recently, as far back as, most recent as a year ago, you contacted the previous owners and even the family after Mr. Netzley had passed away, and the property manager said, we're not fixing it. And there was nothing done to enforce that to be fixed, and now here we are. Now we have two separate owners, and now we're left to fix a problem that's been here for decades. I do agree with you. But, like I said, I'm not looking to just throw the cost on you and ask you to pay. I'm asking for help, because I
Can
don't.
make a suggestion?
Mhm.
Workshops in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Could we ask you to have a proposal written up for us on what that looks like to you?
Yeah.
On what would be suitable from your perspective
Okay.
for us to review and think about, and talk about during the workshop? Just so that it's not kind of, because right now it's kind of nebulous, you know, help, this, well, what does that look like and what is that? And then-
Well, I know this much. I know the tap fee is either $2,000 or $3,000, depending on the size I want.
Sure.
And I know my plumber that worked on my properties out there told me, not knowing what he's gonna get into, is a stretch between $4,000 and $7,000.
Right.
I'll get more than one bid, of course. I'll do it the right way, but, I mean, that's all I know right now, because this is still pretty fresh. I mean, we just
Yeah,
met.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess if this makes a difference, I actually had met, and I don't know how many months ago, with the family that was renting the property that you now own,
Mm-hmm.
and wanted to know about buying it from the
Yes.
previous owner.
Yeah, they lived there for like 14
And
years.
I explained to them that they'd have to make that switch. You couldn't have two different owners with one water line.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how much that played into their final decision to not purchase it themselves.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of trying to correct past mistakes. And whatever council decides is, of course, fine with me. I can argue the other side, that the tap fees, everybody pays them. And if you waive somebody's tap fee, that's not fair to the rest of the residents who did pay their tap fee. The problem is you're stuck holding it, because you're like in musical chairs. You happen to pick the chair when the music stopped. But we've run into this into code enforcement. It's been this way for years and years and years. Well, the code says you gotta do X. We've never had to do it before. Well, it wasn't being enforced before. It is now. So I'm greatly sympathetic, and I definitely want to encourage more folks to buy properties and fix them up. I'm sure the house will be much better when you're done with it than it was before. That doesn't change the fact you can't have one water line serving 3 different owners or 3 different properties. You have the duplex and the single family.
I'm not arguing with you.
No, you're not, and I.
But my issue
I understand.
was that this was overlooked for how many years?
And it's a valid
And
point.
now I think, and I'm gonna make an assumption here, that if I would've bought both properties and held on to both of them and rented them out, we would not be here talking about this today. But because there are separate owners and it does need to go the right way, I do believe that, you know, that's what's led us
If
here.
we were aware of the transfer, I think we would have dealt with it, but I'm not sure we'd have been notified of the transfer.
Well, it was brought to me that this was discussed with the property manager in July of '21, and they said, we're not fixing it.
I didn't discuss it with the property manager.
I know, I didn't say you did.
The previous, maybe perhaps the renters.
No, Mr. Smith that was out at the
Oh, okay.
property told me that he had
Okay.
that conversation with the previous owners, and they flat out said, I'm not doing it.
Okay.
So,
How
So-
would this have been viewed when we did new water meters?
Don't know.
I mean, is there a meter on each house?
yes,
Is there?
there is a
There's
meter in the
meter-
basement of the single-family home.
Yeah.
There are 2 meters in the basement of the duplex. When I walked through, did my personal inspection and then my hired inspection, my official inspection, there was no issues with anything that looked weird. If I go down there and I see a meter in the basement, I'm not gonna say, I wonder if it's all on its own water line. I'm just, it's metered, it's approved. I would not, with my experience, I would not know to think it that any other way.
I think that's reasonable.
So Ben, back when we were reading meters, would we have gone into the basement to get the neighbors?
Yeah, I mean, all those, just like he explained, they would just be read normally, whether they were manual reads back years ago or, you know, today, of course, they're not manual reads, but the contractors that would go in and put them in, they would just assume they were just standard water lines with a meter set and change it out.
So this is really something that just fell through the cracks for
I assume
decades.
so, yeah.
Yeah.
Would,
There are scenarios, the right thing to do is to get it fixed the right way. If that water line breaks, and then your owner doesn't have water, and
Wholeheartedly
it's
agree.
over there, who's gonna be responsible?
I agree.
And so it has to be resolved, I would suggest. Who's gonna pay for it and how it's gonna be funded, I guess, could be a subject of discussion.
Yeah.
I don't think it makes sense to leave it as it is.
yeah. Would,
I don't think I can sell it as it is because now I have to disclose this.
Right.
This is now a residential disclosure because I'm the owner of the property
Gotcha.
and I can't hide it.
Yeah.
So,
why don't you, by the 18th of this month,
mhm.
if you want to give us that information so that we can have it before the next council meeting? And then would that give you time to get that?
Sure.
That would be the Friday before.
Sure, yeah, we'll send it out in the packet to you
That can go into the
for
packet.
the workshop, sure.
And then we'll discuss that at our.
When is the workshop?
It
It's
is
the fourth Tuesday of the month.
the 22nd.
Okay. So it's still this month. All right.
Mhm.
Well, I'm just thinking of my timeline because I'm getting close to the end and I'm gonna need to, I'm already behind my schedule as anybody would expect. Nothing stays on schedule when it comes to this stuff, but I
How
do need
about
to get it
this?
on the market.
As soon as you get me the proposal, I'll get it distributed to the council.
Okay, how many proposals are you looking for?
You give me a copy and I'll make copies and
If
whatever.
you want to,
Well, on proposal, when I said proposal, I'm not just talking about what it costs you to fix it. I'm asking you to submit to us what you'd like to see.
I
What
understand.
your idea of help is.
I
what your
understand,
idea
but
of-
you don't want just one cost, one bid from one plumber to
No,
do
that's
this
not
work.
what, no, that's not what I'm
Yeah,
asking.
yeah,
Right,
yeah.
you're just asking, hey, how do you want it
Exactly.
Right,
resolved,
it, right,
regardless
you
of who
know,
does it.
if you estimate the cost to be $15,000 and you're asking for help
Legal recourse.
in a written proposal, what does that help look like to you, and what you're asking,
Okay,
you know, for us by the 18th?
by the 18th,
So that we can
and I submit
talk
that
about it
to
on the 20th.
Mr.
Yep.
Sheridan?
Yep,
yep,
yep.
Okay,
that,
okay, thank you.
all right,
Thank you for coming, sir.
all right.
aircraft flooding the road here in West Milton. Regarding his issue there, I heard you guys say something about, I think Jeffrey Sheridan said, well, we can't give him a forgiveness on the fee, the tap fee and so forth. We'd have to do it for everybody. Well, and this is rather extenuating circumstances where I don't think it's exactly his fault. And so I think anybody else who's still paying a tap fee or whatever would understand that this was an unusual situation where he was not necessarily at fault, and that, you know, somebody in the past with the city approved it. So, you know, in the interest of being good neighbors, maybe you could see a way to help him out. After all, I don't think we're a big city. We're still a community that they call the village of West Milton. And I think somehow there's some people here that's kind of forgetting that we're still a semi-rural village of friendly people. For what it's worth.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
I don't know what the definition of rural is versus semi-rural, but when you can't make it to another town without going through a cornfield, I think you're rural.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.